This is Laura and Theresa with another episode of Ask Me Anything. Our topic this week is compliance in a dental practice. This is not an easy task. Theresa, you've said there's so many layers. In your decades of experience, what kinds of compliance issues do you find when you do your snapshot?
Well, when I do my snapshot, I'm primarily looking for things on the risk management side. So anything that might be considered fraudulent or negligent, supervised neglect. So a lot of these things end up being clinical issues. However, I do run across many issues that concern me from a compliance level. Dental practices have layers and layers of compliances that they have to deal with. They have to deal with HIPAA. They have to deal with OSHA. If they take any federal funding at all, Denti-Cal or Medicaid of any kind, they have to have ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act, 1557 training. And that's very intense just by itself. Then we have radiation safety training as well. And of course, every single training that you have has a diagnostic process that we go through. We have to know what our practice presents with, and then written policies and procedures. So it's a lot.
That is a lot. Where does the practice begin? I guess obviously with your snapshot, right? Because then there's an awareness there of where their compliance issues are.
That's definitely a good place to start. Another place to start would be figure out who's responsible for tracking these things. It's typically the office manager, but it could also be, the lead clinical assistant. Whoever in your office is responsible, identify that person, and then, make a list of HIPAA. Do I have my HIPAA manual complete? Is my risk analysis done? Do I have my written policies and procedures? OSHA, am I current on my OSHA? When's the last time that we did a walkthrough? When's the last time we checked to make sure that our login sheets were current and things like that? Do we take any federal funding? Are we current on Affordable Care Act training? And that by itself, can be extensive.
Right.
Radiation safety is a huge thing for dental practices as well, because if you have a license to take x-rays, most practices feel like, okay, that's the end of it. And it's not. You have to have written policies and procedures for radiation safety training. Hardly anybody knows this. I've never really run across anybody yet that recognizes that they need to have written policies and procedures. And then team training. We've got just a lot of things that go on in a practice. Are your team members current on their CE? Who's keeping track of that? So there's just layers upon layers of compliance, which is a compliance officer is almost a full-time job.
For sure. It is surprising to me with the turnover that is reported, the high turnover that is reported, that they don't have these policies and procedures and a training program around compliance really dialed in. It's big though. It's big.
It's huge, and it can be devastating to a practice not to be compliant and have an issue in one of these areas, for sure. Financially devastating in some cases. And
absolutely.
You say it's surprising, but it's not surprising to me because I see it all the time. What surprises me is that we've kind of gone this far and we still don't have these policies and procedures and things in place. And it's not as hard as it needs to be. It can be an overwhelming and daunting task, but again, I'm here to help, and it doesn't need to be as daunting as it needs to be. But you have to be able to chunk it down, and know what direction you're going. You can't just get in the car and start driving and not know what your destination is going to be.
Absolutely. Great content, Theresa. Email or DM us to get answers to your big questions in your dental practice.